Hi there, and welcome to Travel and Sip, a show that gives you a taste of the world. I'm Kieran, and I'm joined by my good friend Ingrid. And through this show, we will share with you our experience and love of travel to inspire you to see what the world has to offer. Last week, we were in Champagne, and this week, we're traveling a little bit closer to home. Ingrid, where are we off to today?
We are indeed, Kieran. So today we actually thought that we would show you a little bit of something close to where we are. So obviously, both Kieran and I are Australian, and we're actually Victorian. So all the way down here in the state of Victoria, we're actually going to take you to a wine region that is very close to both of our hearts, and that is the Yarra Valley. So we're zooming in right now on the map to Coldstream. So Coldstream, as you would have seen there, it's in the east of Melbourne. So if we zoom back out, we can see Melbourne is over here. And that's about just over an hour to the east of the city, down
It's
the
around
eastern
50 kilometres, Ingrid. Is that about right? I'd say.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so it's about that. So you sort of got the suburbs of Melbourne finish around Lilydale. So that's
Mhm.
really that sort of final suburb in the east there. And then you get into the wine region of the Yarra Valley. So Coldstream being the first town that you come to. And then this Yarra Glen and into this region here, Yearing, Tarrawarra into
Yeah.
Healesville is really the main wine region of the Yarra Valley.
And you mentioned wine there. This really, would you say, is the premier wine region of Victoria?
Well, it's probably subjective, but
Yes, of course.
but I am a little biased because I
Uh-huh.
actually did grow up there. So
Indeed.
my little hometown, just to quickly point it out, is down here. So Hoddles Creek, showing on the map. But yeah, so I did grow up in the Yarra Valley, so it is very close to my heart.
Well, you must have enjoyed it. It's a region that's certainly very pretty and heaps to do. But what are some of the memories you have, Ingrid, of the Yarra Valley growing up there?
Yeah, so it's really so where I grew up
Mm,
on the other side of the valley, so not what is the most famous part of the wine region, but the other
mm,
side is very growing region. So
yep.
where I was actually where most people had berry farms,
Okay.
and they either berry farms, agricultural farming, a lot of cattle in the area as well, and a lot of beautiful bushland. So we were really surrounded by bushland. So my childhood
Mm,
was all about bushwalks. A
yep.
lot of great bushwalking in the region as well on that side
Right.
of the valley and up into the mountains. So that's something that's a very good memory of mine from growing up there. Eating lots of berries during summer, definitely.
Yep.
And visiting the small little towns. So there's beautiful, gorgeous little towns there that aren't just in that premier wine region, but also out in Warburton. So
Yep.
if you haven't been out to Warburton, that is definitely an area of the Yarra Valley I would highly recommend. It's a gorgeous little town with an old water wheel there.
Mhm.
It's got the old art centre and theatre, some great little cafes and restaurants, and fantastic places to stay too. So definitely somewhere I would recommend visiting if you are taking a trip and you've got a little bit longer to explore beyond that main wine region
Sure.
of Yarra Glen and Coldstream.
Yeah, and look, I think as Melburnians, even though I didn't grow up in the Yarra Valley itself, I think it's definitely a place that you visit often. I think looking back into when I was a kid, we'd go through the Yarra Valley on the way to the snow, up to Mount Donabuang. That would be
Yeah,
the area we'd go and get our first taste of snow. You know, you don't get a lot of snow down here in Victoria, but that held some really special memories for me. And certainly, as I've got into adulthood and appreciated wine a little bit more, it's become something that, or a place that I visited quite often. Really is one of those areas of Melbourne that's a perfect day trip out from the city. You probably got the big three: the Great Ocean Road, Mornington Peninsula, and the Yarra Valley, and really, they're so close to the city. Within an hour, you can get up. If you see the sun's out, you can have a decision on the spot there to go out to the Yarra Valley and just enjoy really the produce and just the beauty of the area.
Exactly. And it is great, as you say, for a day trip. And whether you're doing that in an organised tour, there's some great
Mm.
organised tours. I've done those before myself, or you're just driving up there as well. So there's a couple of different ways that you can get up there too. So if you can't hire your own car, or you don't have your own car, then organised day tours are great ways to go as well.
Absolutely. So, look, I guess this is travel and sips. So we better talk about
Yeah,
some of our sips today, Ingrid. What are
correct.
you sipping on this afternoon?
So I actually have a bottle of wine from Punt Road.
Okay.
So this is a great little winery in the Yarra Valley,
Uh-huh.
and it is one that I've been to amongst many. It's
Yeah.
a Pinot Noir from Punt Road, and to be honest, Pinot Noir is one of the premier grapes of the Yarra Valley. So Pinot Noir and Chardonnay are probably the two most
Yes.
popular grapes that are grown in the Yarra Valley.
Yeah.
So that was why I picked the bottle. So there's a lot of different Pinot Noirs that I love in the Yarra Valley, and Punt Road is one of them. But there are a lot of others. A couple of others I'll mention, which are personal favourites, would be Yering Station and Tarawara.
Hmm.
So definitely a couple of my favourites, but I think you might also have chosen a Pinot Noir today,
Yeah, I
Kieran.
think so, and I think that's the thing. Like I do enjoy Chardonnay, and Chardonnay is probably the other great variety
Mm,
that's world class in the Yarra Valley. But I am a bit more of a red drinker, and I thought this afternoon is a perfect afternoon for a Pinot. So I've also gone a Pinot Noir. Mine is from St Hubert's.
I love St Hubert's.
St Hubert's to me is what I think of firstly when I visit the Yarra Valley. It's uh, when you turn off the Maroondah, I think to the Melba. I'm trying to get my directions right, but you turn around the corner and you see this big St Hubert's sign on top of their barns there, and it just lets you know you're in the Yarra Valley. And
Yeah.
probably, I think, thinking back, it was the first winery that I went to when I did a wine tour many years ago now. But it's always held a special place in my heart. Now, I do really love their Cab Sav as well, and there is a little bit of Cab Sav that you can find in the area, as well as some Shiraz. But today,
Yeah.
unfortunately, alas, I couldn't get my hands on some Cab Sav for today. But the Pinot Noir is a good little alternative.
It's
So
definitely something that is becoming, I think they call it a bit of the backbone of the Yarra Valley, the Cap
yeah,
Sav. So, especially in that warmer climate region of the Yarra Valley, which is where we're talking about,
yeah,
they do grow a little bit more of the Cab Sav and Shiraz grapes.
yes,
But generally, I think overall about 60% is Chardonnay or Pinot Noir. So
yeah,
definitely those two
that's
great
right.
varietals. But
Yeah. So
yes,
it also and it makes those two really make for a great. Oh yeah, sorry. Cheers, Ingrid. Those two really make for a great sparkling as well, and you do find a lot of great sparklings in the area, I'd imagine as well.
you do. And
Um,
I am partial actually to St Hubert's sparkling wine.
is that
They
right?
have a
Okay,
very good sparkling. I actually enjoyed a bottle of that the other day. So yes, yeah, I do have
perfect.
some bottles of
Recommend.
that in my cellar.
So look, I thought it'd be good just to tell you a little bit about the history of the winery. Not that I've got a lot of notes on that, but it's been around for a long time. The Yarra Valley vines, and first planted there in 1838 by three brothers who came down from New South Wales, the Ryrie brothers, and settled their stock at Yering Station. Yering, did you know Yering, Ingrid, is the Aboriginal name for the area?
Is it
Found that out
really?
just it is indeed. So
Wow, I didn't know
so
that.
when they settled there, they used the Aboriginal name, Yering Station. It's still it was the first, I guess, really top winery in the region. Got sold off a little bit later, and then looking into the history of wine in the area, what I found out is that it went through a bit of a lull, really, from probably from the late 19th century into the middle of the 20th century, and the modern revival has really been since the 60s. And a couple of wineries in the region have really played a huge part. St Hubert's, the one that I'm visiting today, and Yeringberg as well, really picked up the ball in the 60s, and they haven't looked back really. There's over 80 wineries located in the Yarra Valley. So, when we're talking about day trips, I think that the number one cab off the rank is really to do a wine tour of the region. You're really missing out if you don't do
Yeah,
that, because there are
definitely.
some fantastic wines, and not just wine, but food. And I really
Yeah,
love traveling for food, Ingrid.
yeah.
Um, Tell us
Same here.
about. Have you? I'm just a question without notice, but do you have a memorable food experience from the Yarra Valley?
Oh, memorable. Yeah, I do actually. And it's probably it actually it's a bit different now to what it used to be, but there's a
Mm.
little cafe called Badger's Brook, which is
Okay.
off the Melbourne Highway in Coldstream,
Yep.
and it's just down from, probably not going to get my exact locations right now, but it's not far from Domain Shandon,
Yeah.
so probably only another couple of minutes up the road, that same road. And it's a great little cafe. And my food experience it's actually from a fair while ago. I'm
Mm.
talking sort of 13, 14 years ago now. But something that I still remember today is meeting my parents there for brunch. And we just had the most amazing brunch. Just fresh produce from the region, freshly
Yeah.
baked bread. The whole place smelled like beautiful fresh bread. And
Nothing
we had
better.
olives, and we did have a bit of bubbles as well with
Oh, good.
brunch. So yes, of course, and some good coffee. So yeah, beautiful homemade jams, double cream. There were scones. It was amazing. So it's definitely a food experience that I remember from the Yarra Valley. One of my
Absolutely.
favourites.
You can really indulge in the Yarra Valley. And I'm just thinking about all the connections I have, and there's some things that pop out. I remember having this tremendous blue eye dish at Stone's estate.
Okay.
And Stone is actually one, I think, is probably the second biggest industry is weddings in the Yarra Valley. There are so
Yes.
many weddings, and
Yep.
Stones is one of those places
Yeah.
that many people I know have got married at. They've got a lovely little chapel there and a big barn for the reception. But I remember going there for lunch one day with my wife Caroline, and we just sat down and had this blue eye, and it was just tremendous. The other experiences really for me, at Coombs Estate. Really love Coombs Estate. It's the estate of the Dame Melly Melba's family, and they produce some great produce there. A lot of great wine, but also we love their peach Melba jam. And actually, just got 3 of those delivered to us the last week, and one of them's already finished. So really delightful.
Good
And
work.
the other food memory I have is actually going to the Yarra Valley chocolaterie, and ice
Yep.
creamery there in Yarra Glen,
Yeah,
and just having an ice cream on a really nice day. And they've just got the most stunning view out there.
they do.
You,
Yeah.
you just you eat your ice cream or your chocolate or whatever you bought, and it's
Yeah.
just sensational on a nice day.
And they've often got the sculpture park there as well in
That's
their
right.
paddock, where they've
Yeah,
got
yeah,
different sculptures at different times. You can walk through the grounds, and it's really gorgeous. It can be very busy, but it's definitely beautiful and worth the visit. The other place I was going to mention, actually, Kieran, that I love to go for Yarra Valley produce is the cheese shop. So
Oh, right.
the
Of
dairy
course.
shop is actually
Yeah,
not far from St Hubert's.
yeah.
It's just
That's right.
before that. So it's a great spot to stop and get some cheese. Often, if I'm going up to my dad's place, which he's still out in Hoddles Creek,
Yeah,
then I will stop by, get some cheese there on my way, and then head up to see him. So he
for
definitely
sure.
appreciates it as well.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
Now, Ingrid, I know you are a local of the area, and I believe you might have some things to show us just to show off the beauty of this area. So
I do have a few photos. Yes. Yeah, a
okay,
few
so let's
photos.
do it. Where are we?
So,
Okay, there we go. Talk us through this.
yeah, so I thought I'd just show you a few of the photos that I've got, not of my childhood and that side of the valley, but the side of the valley that we're talking about today, which is the famous wine region. So I
Yeah,
thought you'd all might like to see a few of the beautiful scenic views that you can enjoy at the Yarra Valley. So we're going to start with me enjoying some bubbles at Domain Shandon. So this,
that
I
seems
was,
like it was an awesome day. Look at that sunshine.
oh,
Gosh.
it was absolutely stunning. I think this shot was, it wasn't that long ago. I'm going to say probably September or October last year. So
Yeah.
yeah, probably talking about 6 months ago.
Hmm.
This particular day that I took, and this was out with a few friends. I've actually been out to the Yarra Valley. It's so funny. So wine tours, obviously I grew up out there, so I'm there all the time, but I'm usually on the other side. But these
Yeah.
shots are actually all taken in the last 2 years, and they're from 7 different.
Right. Seven.
So I literally have been so many different times, and often with friends who've come down from
Yeah.
interstate. So it's
Okay.
definitely a most a really popular thing to do with either international, interstate friends, and take them out for a day in the Yarra Valley. And I can never say no because it's so amazing.
Of
So
course.
my next shot is Oak Ridge. So Oak Ridge is another gorgeous winery. This one, I actually do have a quick story to tell about one of the staff in the tasting room, an older gentleman who has been there for a very long time and is absolutely just the most knowledgeable man about wine. And we loved it. We just had the best. I think we were standing there with him for over an hour, just talking to him about the wine. Yeah. He's just had so much
patience, to share.
so much time. He loved to share his knowledge and his passion for wine. Yeah, it was great. And then we also did a tasting at Rochford. So this was an organised tour that I was part of, and we got to do a tasting at Rochford Estate, which is also really well known for big concerts. Rochford.
Well, that's right. I think we had Elton John there not long ago, singing in the rain. But
exactly.
But they get
so
some huge names. I haven't actually attended one of those, but oh no, I did actually. What did I do? We went to a Cuban festival or something like that there. So they've got, because they do it. They have quite a mixture, don't they? They've sort of got bands. They've got some old 80s, 90s stars, rockers, that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
and these kind of Cuban jazz festivals, I think, that happen as well.
Very cool. Yeah, I've never been to one myself, but I did enjoy going to Rochford and seeing the whole production, because it's obviously huge grounds there that they have to cater for everything. So it was really interesting. Another one of my favourites, which I mentioned at the start, is definitely Tarrawarra. So they've got a beautiful museum art gallery there as well. So it's definitely worth a visit if you are an art lover as well. So just to have a look through the art gallery, a gorgeous on-site restaurant if you like fine dining too. I actually haven't eaten in the restaurant. I've only had their platters, so sitting out on the grass like this, which is exactly what I was doing then. So enjoying a glass of wine, sitting out on the overlooking the dam there, and enjoying some meats and cheeses.
Yeah, beautiful.
Good way to be, I think. And then if you're not a wine lover, you also have another thing that is quite famous in the Yarra Valley, which has become very popular over the last couple of years, which is the Four Pillars Gin Distillery.
That's right. Now, that's in Healesville, is that right?
It is, yes, it is. So that's in Healesville. It only opened a few years ago. I remember when they were building when they started the building, I just thought, wow, that looks amazing. And then realised it was going to be the Four Pillars tasting room, and was like, wow, that's awesome. So the first time I went there was actually last year, again with another group of friends who were very keen to try some of the gins. So we had a little tasting plate like this. So you get 3 different gins to try, and you just pay a fee for the 3 gins, and you've got all of the different gin, the spices that are made, that the gin's made from, in the middle, so you can smell them all as well. So they've got those on the table.
Beautiful.
So that was a great alternative experience if you're not a big wine drinker. And the other one that I actually can recommend as well is Coldstream Brewery. Coldstream Brewery has great beers. So if you aren't a big wine drinker, that's definitely one that I would recommend visiting.
And actually, I've been to Healesville and done some gin tasting myself, not at Four Pillars, but at one down the road called Alchemy. But there's a guy there just so passionate about gin. They've won some awards for their gin and their vodkas. And the one I remember tasting was a chamomile gin, which, I don't drink a lot of gin, and I don't drink a lot of gin straight, but this was just delicious, absolutely amazing. So there's some real good stuff going on in the area, not just wine.
Yeah.
So a couple of other things, we talked a lot about wine and some varieties. The other thing I have to mention is the Scrumpy Festival at Kellybrook Winery. I don't know if you've been there, Ingrid, but each May they make some cider there at Kellybrook, and they have a Scrumpy Festival, which is basically kind of the the offcuts of the cider process. Not that alcoholic, really, a lot of sugar in it and all that sort of stuff. But they have a good time. You have bands playing and all these sort of things going on, and what it makes me think is that there's really not a bad time of year to go to the Yarra Valley. Like certainly in the summer, we saw some of your pictures there, beautiful blue skies. You can do some other things. You can do, like a lot of people do, their ballooning, hot air ballooning in the Yarra Valley. Very, very famous for that. You have? Tell us a little bit about that, Ingrid.
Yeah, it's so I got that given to me as a gift a long time ago, and you obviously have to have the conditions right as well at the time to go ballooning. So the
Yep.
first 2 times I booked, it actually ended up getting cancelled the night before because it was too windy.
Yep.
So couldn't go ahead. But eventually did get to go ahead, and you get up very early in the morning because you have to start putting everything up before sunrise. And you've got the balloon up, and then it rises above these beautiful vineyards. You're right in the middle of the vineyards, and it was magical. I still remember it was my first hot air ballooning experience. I've been a couple more times since now, but that was my first experience of hot air ballooning, and it really was magical. That's the only word I could use to describe it. Just that
They're
feeling of
sensational.
floating above the air. Yeah,
Yeah,
above the ground.
absolutely. I mean, even on the ground, I haven't been up in a hot air balloon, but even from the ground looking up there, it looks magical, because you're right. They do it on clear, still days, don't they? So it's
Yeah,
very picturesque. Yeah.
it is, and it's just so peaceful. I think you would get that occasional roar of the flame when it's getting
Yes.
up a bit more gas in to move up further. But other than that, when there's nothing else happening, it's so quiet. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's the thing I felt. It was just so peaceful.
Yeah.
Definitely
Sensational.
something worth doing.
So that's definitely recommended, and very, very popular thing to do. But also there's a lot of nature. So Healesville, we mentioned, there's the very famous Healesville Sanctuary,
Yeah.
one of the top zoos here in Victoria, where you get a lot of local wildlife. So if you're looking to see kangaroos and wallabies and wombats and that sort of echidnas, you can really get your fill at Healesville. It's a fantastic place. And you can also get out into nature in the Yarra Valley and the surrounding ranges. There's a lot of good spots for hiking, particularly out of Warburton. I think is probably the
Yeah.
centre point for that. Would you say, Ingrid?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a great spot for hiking along the
And maybe
creek.
even around Hoddles Creek.
Yes. Yeah, the
Potentially.
Shiprock Falls, which is a waterfall in Hoddles Creek, so that's a good spot for some hiking.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, Hoddles Creek's actually becoming one of the premium wine growing regions as well.
Is that right?
With Yarra Valley. So yeah, not as many cellar doors out there yet, but Hoddles Creek Estate has won numerous awards in recent years for their wine. So definitely something to watch, I think.
Wonderful.
Hmm.
And so there's plenty to do. You mentioned a little bit of art and culture. There's entertainment. It's a really great a great place. Certainly, if you're doing a day trip, most people will do that winery tour, and
Yeah.
it's probably the first introduction to the Yarra Valley. But it's, I guess, a place that you can spend a little bit of time, even a weekend or a long weekend, and really explore in a little bit more detail. So I guess getting to and from the Yarra Valley, most people, if you're doing a day trip, you would have an organised day trip. You don't want to be the designated driver when you go to the Yarra Valley, because
Exactly.
the produce is
Yeah.
fantastic, and you want to be able to experience that. And there are plenty of companies who run tours, either out of the local area or most commonly out of Melbourne CBD. It's very,
Yeah.
very close to the CBD, and you can certainly do that very easily. The other way you can do that is to hire a car and get out there. As we mentioned at the start, it's very, very close. Have you got? We're going to maybe explore the area a little bit, Ingrid.
Mhm.
Are you able to bring up that map again and just show us a little bit of the main towns that we can perhaps visit when we are off to the Yarra Valley? We
Yeah,
talked about
sure. Yeah, I'll just give you some
Coldstream.
context if you like. Yeah, so obviously we were talking about Coldstream before, so that's here. So then you've got out into Yarra and Yarra Glen, Tarrawarra. So this is all the main wine region that we were talking about. Then you've got Healesville, which we've mentioned as well for Healesville Sanctuary. And then over this way, this is where Warburton is. So it's what we were talking about before. So we've got the Upper Yarra Dam up past here as well, up in here. So that's great for hiking and that sort of thing. And then you've got Hoddles Creek, which I mentioned down here. And out this way into Three Bridges and Gilderoy, you've got some fantastic national parkland all in here, famous for some of their huge trees that they have in that area.
Okay.
And also into here, so the regional parkland on its way to Gembrook is fantastic for hiking as well. So that's a great little area to explore if you want to go beyond the wine region.
Indeed. So it's a great place to spend either a day trip or a little bit more time. A few days out there and really experience all that the region has to offer. We'll be certainly heading back there. You said 7 or 8 times in the last 2 years, Ingrid. I'm sure there's a few more to come in the next little while.
Absolutely.
and we'll be sure to try a few more wines. So we've got a couple here. Punt Road, Ingrid, you've always managed to bring the Richmond Football Club into these, so that's very well done again for your choice of wine today. And mine was St Hubert's. I'm sure. But you see these wines all over the place. And Yarra Valley, remember the first two, the top two, we said there was Pinot Noir and Chardonnays, but certainly some great varieties coming out of there.
Exactly.
And that's probably all I have for today. Anything else you wanted to add, Ingrid, for the Yarra Valley?
No, I think that about covers it. So I'm happy to just say cheers, Kieran, and
Cheers, Ingrid.
Drink well and travel often.
And until next time, this has been Travel and Sip with Ingrid and Kieran, and we'll let you know where we're off to next week very soon. Thanks very much.
Cheers.